There are a number of different types of insurance that you will see when you're talking about renters. There is standard renters insurance. They may have pet insurance, and you should be checking for auto insurance for anyone who has a vehicle. Standard renters insurance generally covers things like personal property. It can provide some liability insurance. It can cover additional living expenses like temporary stays if a unit is declared uninhabitable. And it can offer medical or legal payments in case there's a guest injured in a renter's home. Generally, the landlord's insurance is not going to cover personal belongings in the event of a disaster or a covered incident. When you're talking about alternate lodging, the housing in the event a unit becomes uninhabitable is normally handled one of two ways. Either the tenant pays rent and the landlord is responsible for providing alternate housing, or the tenant does not pay rent, the landlord waives it, and then it's the tenant's responsibility to find alternate housing. That can vary. There are sometimes that HUD will have a particular way that they want you to handle this, but that's generally the way that this happens. Tenants often do not realize that in the event of a disaster, for instance, a tree falls on the building or there's a storm that damages the building, landlords are not usually responsible for personal tenant belongings. And most tenants, especially if they are new to renting, believe that a landlord's insurance covers their belongings. So it's important to let them know what is covered by landlord insurance and what is not. That's true of things like fires, floods, storms. And one of the incidents that you also want to be aware of is bed bugs and infestations. It can be extremely expensive to a tenant to prep for treatment for bed bugs. They need to do multiple loads of laundry. In some cases, they need to contract with a service to come in and package and prep their belongings. And some of our tenants, especially those with disabilities, are often not able to do that at their own expense. So we want to make sure that they understand what is and is not covered. So, looking at what we can and cannot do, you can potentially offer renters insurance to tenants. They may get a better rate if everybody in the building buys from the same provider. But you want to make sure you're checking with HUD to make sure that that is allowable at your property, and understand that you cannot evict a tenant solely for unpaid insurance premiums. You also can require the purchase of renter's insurance depending on what your area's law says. Again, when you are requiring tenants to purchase something, you want to make sure that HUD is approving that. You cannot require it for certain tenants and not for others. For instance, you couldn't say, tenants that are seniors don't have to buy renter's insurance, but families with children do. You need to require the same conditions of all households. So make sure that you are requiring it of everybody if you're going to require that. Pet insurance is something that at your option, you may want to let them have general information on if they have any kind of animal in their unit. Pet insurance can be anything from catastrophic insurance, which pays just for major medical incidents, all the way to insurance that covers normal day-to-day events like vaccines and checkups. The affordability is tied to what coverage they're providing, so that full day-to-day insurance can be prohibitively expensive for low-income tenants. But it may be, in some cases, helpful to a tenant with limited income to have these catastrophic insurance policies so that if their pet or their service animal needs major medical attention, they have insurance to help with that. There are many different companies that provide this. In some cases, it'll be the insurance provider that your tenant is already dealing with for auto or renter's insurance. If they have a registered breed, the AKC does contract with an insurance provider, and there are all sorts of other options. So you want to make sure that you're letting your tenant know they should do their due diligence and ask questions about these pet insurance policies before they spend their money. Auto insurance is also very important. We can require, and you should require, that all automobiles kept on your property are registered and insured as per the laws of your state. You generally cannot require more insurance than your state law would require. You can expect your tenants to pay for any damages caused by the operation of their vehicle. And you can ask for proof of insurance and registration yearly as part of your annual recertification process. But if you're doing that, you should do that for all tenants with vehicles. So, some best practices. Let tenants know what is and is not covered by landlord insurance, and that can be as simple as putting it in the house rules. Make tenants aware of renter's insurance and the fact that they may want to purchase that. And you may want to make them aware of pet insurance as well if they have an animal in the household. You may want to offer renter's insurance at the property because you may be able to get a bulk rate that's more affordable for your tenants. You do not have to do that. And make sure that all tenants at your property with automobiles have proper registration and insurance for those vehicles. So that's going to do it for today. We would love to know what topics you would like us to cover on Tuesday Tips. So if there's anything you'd like us to address, please email me or Vicki, and we will see you on the next one.